Hey everyone, this is Dave from Some Memories. In today's review, we'll be talking about the house of Boadicea the Victorious, and this one is called Green Sapphire. So if you're curious more about this one, don't go away. Alright everyone, welcome back to my channel. Once again, before we start the review, as always, if you haven't already, I would love it if you guys can subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button down below and the bell icon. That way when I do upload a new video, you'll be notified right away. So as I mentioned, this particular review is coming from the house of Boadicea the Victorious, and this one is my actual absolute favorite from the house. This one is called Green Sapphire. So here it is. I don't know if you can see it. So Green Sapphire is a fragrance that I just recently got my nose on a couple of months ago, and I got a bottle about maybe a month or so ago. It is one that I absolutely fell in love with. It is my favorite from the house by far. There's only about 5 or 6 honestly from the house that I really like, and then out of that small subset, about 3 or 4 that I really love. I've tried a lot of fragrances from the house, about, I don't know, close to 50 or more in terms of sampling. I don't like some of them. I wasn't impressed by a lot of them. I think there's a number of like 100 to 120 fragrances from the house, maybe even more offerings than that. And honestly, some of the fragrances are a bit redundant, a lot of repetition, a lot of rose ouds, and for the price point, they really just didn't wow me. Now this particular one is one that I really did love and fell in love with, so I wanted to get a bottle of it. This is a amber woody fragrance. It was launched in 2016, and I believe the nose behind this was Christian Provenzano. This is one of, I think Christian Provenzano is the perfumer for the entire house. I think he's the in-house perfumer. Now, before we get into the actual fragrance itself and the profile, I want to talk about a little bit about the price point and the packaging. Now, the presentation itself, it comes in a box like this. You'll see it, so here, with Boadicea the Victorious and Green Sapphire in the back and the front. Now, honestly, for the price point that you get, this retails for over 800 pounds. So closer to $900 to $1,000 US for a 100 ml bottle, which is extremely expensive. Now I didn't get it for that price point, but for the retail price, I would expect this packaging to be really outstanding. I have a problem with the packaging of this house. I mean, this is the way that it comes without the sleeve, so the sleeve is here. Now it comes off just kind of like that. Now it's not a bad presentation. It's not bad at all. The bottle sits inside of here. But for the price point, you can find much nicer presentation with fragrances a quarter of this price. So I think Boadicea needs to really up their game in terms of presentation. Now, the bottle itself, it comes in this really intricate design on the front of the label, and it has the name of the fragrance on the back. I've mentioned this before in other reviews where I have a problem with the actual quality of the materials used of the bottle. This is I think the bottle itself, they've started making a little bit better of materials, but it's still kind of a cheap plastic cap. It's kind of a cheap plaque here. You would expect that for that price point, the materials used in this bottle or the construction of the bottle would be very, very high grade, and it's not. It's just okay. So I think for presentation, it looks beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful presentation. The way it sits in my collection or the way it looks in your collection, I just think overall it could be better. Now, in terms of the actual scent profile, because that's what we care about, let's talk about it. Now, this is, for me, I love green fragrances. I love very, forested fragrances. And this one it fits that bill right away. This one is one I really, really fell in love with. So right away you get this violet leaf. Now the violet leaf can go a couple different ways in perfumery. It can go kind of cooling and almost cucumber-esque. Here it's green. It goes into a very green direction, almost like freshly mowed lawn, like freshly mowed grass. Now with that violet leaf, off the bat you get this saffron, and the saffron, if you cooked with it in a cooking spice, is very almost leathery, sort of hay-like, a little bit floral and powdery. And while it's met with the saffron and the violet leaf, you get this raspberry. Now the raspberry here is what I think really ties together that green, leathery top notes. The raspberry is a little bit tangy, it's a little bit sweet, it's a bit floral, so it adds a nice balance and component to those two other top notes. I love the way this smells off the bat. Now, as it starts drying down, you get this greener mid. So you get this pine needle, which again is tied with a violet leaf, makes it even more green. The pine needle here is again forested. It's a bit quaint. It almost smells like you're walking in a dewy forest, which is really what I think green sapphire is meant to represent, is a kind of a very green aspect and a very forested feel. I love it. I really love it. Now, with that pine needle, you get this cashmerean. Now, cashmerean is a synthetic note. It doesn't exist in nature, but the cashmerean here is used as a fixative. It's used to kind of tie everything together. Now, here it's a little bit ambery, a bit musky. It almost has a resinous feel to it, and a bit soft. So it's giving it a bit of that kind of soft aspect in the mid. Because in the top, you have this very big, very bombastic green, leathery aspect, met with a pine needle in the heart. So this is giving it a bit of a kind of balanced feel of amber and resins. It's also a little bit musky as well, a tiny bit. Now in the base, I think this is where it gets to become a very complete fragrance, because in the base you get a cedar. Now the cedar here, I believe, is an Atlas cedar. So there's two main kinds of cedar notes. There's Atlas cedar and there's Virginia cedar. The cedar here is Atlas. Now it gives off a bit of a warmer, almost pencil-like shaving or pencil shavings kind of a feel, which I personally love. It doesn't have that Virginia cedar feel, which is more dry. Here it's warmer, it's more pencil shaving-like, and it's balanced and married with the sandalwood. The sandalwood here is creamy, it's a bit milky. It gives it an oriental aspect to this fragrance. It's almost meditative in the way that it dries down, and I love the way that that sandalwood pairs with the raspberry and the cashmerean. It works really, really well. I love it. I absolutely love it. Longevity on me, like most of the Boadicea, the Victorious fragrances I own, are pretty outstanding. This one lasts easily 10 to 12 hours, if not longer. Like Blue Sapphire I own, that thing lasts like 24 hours easily. There are other fragrances from this house that I really am looking forward to trying, like Aurica and Mocus, or Mocus, if I'm saying that right. By the way, shout out to my boy Mark Herkert. If you guys are in the fragrance groups in Facebook, Mark is a fantastic resource for decanting. He has a lot of different fragrances, especially Boadiceas, and he can really help you out there. As well as shout out to my buddy Jonas Farrar, who helped me actually acquire this bottle. You can also get this on Olfactory Factory, which is another great resource. I will leave the link down below to where you can get these on different retail websites or some of the discounters as well, where you guys can pick these up. So you guys know where this actually lies. Now, retail price of this one, as I mentioned, is about £800. You can get this cheaper on Facebook groups or on discounters if you're lucky. Again, longevity is really, really long, and performance is great. I get easily 2 hours of protection off my skin. This one is one that I have worn so far in cooler summer evenings in spring. I'm looking forward to wearing this one in the fall and winter. I haven't worn this yet in the cooler weather yet, but I think this will shine 100% in that cool weather as the wind and the air kind of circulate and pick this up. I think this is a definitely a sophisticated fragrance. I think this can also be worn dressed down. It has a casual feel to it. This doesn't have to be worn dressed up, but I think it can be worn in different versatile occasions. It is definitely unisex, but also leaning in a bit of a masculine direction, if that makes sense. It's not overtly feminine. It's definitely unisex, but I think this leans in a masculine direction because of those very green, very leathery, very bold notes in the heart and the base. But this one is one that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite from the house. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying more. Let me know down below in the comments, what is your favorite Boadicea, the Victorious fragrance? Have you tried any? If you tried some, which ones do you love? Which ones don't you like? And I'd be curious to know if you want me to review any others. I will be reviewing Hanuman from this house at some point this summer, so stay tuned for that. But that is my review, guys, of Green Sapphire. I'm really looking forward to doing the next one with you all. Thank you all so much for staying tuned. I really appreciate it and supporting my channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.